Night. Julie is a real estate developer, investor, and finance professional who bridges public sector finance with private real estate. Let's get a little bit more background on you. Let's find out a little bit of your backstory as to what's led you up to this point and also how you got started in real estate.
So as you said, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a capital strategist. I work in public sector economic development. I shape budgets and systems. We support workforce training, small businesses, and higher education. And so by night and on the weekends is when I build my assets and partnerships that actually turn the pathways that I learned at my 9-to-5 job into something tangible for me and for others. And so I started in real estate in 2021. I started with one home and a decision, basically just not to sell it. So today I own multiple properties. I run Jeweled Investments. I co-lead Greystone Capital, and I partner with the city of Montgomery through the Capital City Development Group to redevelop vacant lots using mission-aligned capital. So what ties it all together is I don't just believe in access, I'm working to build it, whether that's through property or policy. The work is about creating footholds, places where people, capital, and communities can move from surviving to thriving.
Yeah. That's amazing. So you said you got started back in 2021 with your personal residence. Could you share a little bit more about that? Was that intentional? Did you start off with looking to do what a lot of people classify as a house hack, in which you get an owner-occupied loan, you buy the house and you live in the house for 12 months and then you can go and do it again? What was the thought of this process of deciding to hold on to the property and eventually turn it into a rental property?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So actually, I have purchased my first owner-occupied home in 2013, and I moved from basically one city in Alabama to another. And at that time, I chose to sell my property, and I had purchased that property as a foreclosure. And so I did pretty well. I made a couple of tens of thousands, right? When I disposed of the property. But after that, my process of thinking began to change, and I had a little bit of regret kind of kicking in. And so I bought my next property in 2019. And when the opportunity came for me to relocate for work for my 9-to-5, I decided to keep that property. So I moved for a new job. The decision was easy, sell it or rent it. I knew I was going to rent it out. So I ran the numbers. I listened to that voice inside of me. So I chose to rent it. I hired a property manager. We listed it. Within weeks, we had a tenant. And when that first check landed, it hit differently. It wasn't just covering the mortgage. I was building equity. I was still showing up to my 9-to-5. And that moment is what reframed everything for me. It wasn't just a housing decision. It was really a wealth decision at that point. So I made a promise to myself. I was going to acquire at least one property a year. And that was in 2021. And since then, I've been able to keep that promise to myself.
What did it look like when you went to go get your second house? Did you get an owner-occupied loan, or are you renting right now?
When I moved to the DMV, I was renting. And so my employer is in Maryland, actually. I was living in DC, renting there. But the decision that I made was to acquire my properties in Alabama. And that's because of the lower barrier entry, right? Because of the pricing. My properties are in Montgomery, Alabama. And I like this location because I went to college there. I lived there for 20 years, probably. I know the area. I know the neighborhoods. So I'm very comfortable with that market. And also, there are several colleges there. There's 2 military bases there. So it's a transient place where the rental market is good. And as you probably know, Eric, the South tends to be more landlord friendly. So Alabama's a landlord friendly state. So that works in my favor as well. And so when I was looking to get that second property, I knew it was going to be in Alabama. And so really I just saved money from my employment to make the down payment on it. And it was an investor loan. So I didn't occupy it or anything like that, but I just saved for it. So I will have enough money for the down payment.
What are these properties running down in that Alabama area? What's the purchase price on properties down there?
Yeah, okay. So that particular property I purchased for $138,000.
Oh, wow. Nice. It's hard to find that anywhere.
Exactly.
I've heard of that in Arkansas, but there's not too many places to where you're going to be able to pick a single family residential property up under $200,000. So that's really good. If we can move things a little bit forward within the interview here. So we know that you own a couple single family residentials. You actually own 5. Just share with us today what it is that you're concentrating on. You started off with your personal residence back in 2013. You turned it into a rental property, and then you moved into 2019 and bought a rental property. What are you doing today? What are you concentrating on as of today?
Yeah, really, I got two lanes primarily right now. Right now, I'm actually doing my first flip. And so again, this is in Alabama. I actually acquired this property wholesale. So this is my first time buying a wholesale property. And the good thing is the real estate community, I guess, in a sense, I feel like it's a small community, especially in Montgomery, Alabama. And so it's oftentimes I find or meet people who are working in real estate who know this person that I already know. It's easier to build a network there because of the size of the place. And I'm just saying that to say, I went to an initiative that the city of Montgomery hosted, and I met a project manager. And we spent that whole entire week just going around the city, looking at properties. And he's showing me properties that he's flipped, things that he owns. We're talking about what we can do in Montgomery, what the opportunities are, and things like that. And that very next week, we had a deal. It's my deal, but he's managing it for me. And so this has made my life so easy. And it has made me so excited about flipping because this is my first experience and it's just been amazing. And it's because of him managing all of the subcontractors for me, even like managing the design of the property. And I just have to show up with the checks and the yes or the no. And so this has been an amazing experience. But as far as this property, it's a ranch style home, all around brick. Bought it for $100,000 plus a $10,000 assignment fee. That's how much it was. The rehab budget, about $45K. And the ARV on this property, Eric, is $230,000. Okay. So I'm just really excited about this deal. This is my first one, like I said, but after this one is disposed, I'll be looking to get into more deals, similar deals. And the other thing that I'm doing now is I have a partnership. We are actually partnering with the city. The city is sponsoring, or they actually own lots. And one thing about governments, and this, whether this be states, federal, municipalities, they're not developers, but they need development. And so a lot of organizations are realizing this because what we were talking about earlier, the unaffordability of housing or just availability of houses. So the city is partnering with us. They're going to provide infill lots and we'll be building single family homes on those lots. So that's the second thing that I got going right now.
Are they pretty much just giving you guys the lots then, or are they just giving it to you at a discount?
They have 20 lots that they're willing to assign to us. They want proof of concept, and rightfully. And so we'll just start with 2 lots, see how that goes. And even more just to kind of show the need from that the city has, they're helping us line up financing. We're working with a CDFI to provide the construction financing for these projects as well. And the city is facilitating that. Yeah, it's just an amazing opportunity and something that we're really looking forward to seeing come to fruition.
So what is the purchase price on these houses? How much is it costing you guys to build, and how much can you turn around and sell them for?
Yeah, great question. We did this cohort, this initiative, and we were to build a team. And so we were very strategic about the people that we put together because for us, this wasn't just a class. This is something that we really want to continue and to make a real impact on our city. And so there's a licensed builder in our class. And guess what? He's on our team. So he's already building homes.
Wow, sweet.
And so that gives us a very unique advantage. And so these are estimates, obviously, at this point, because we're still very early in this process. Our estimates based on our builder's experience is that we can build these homes, and this is like 1,200 square feet, so not large. We starter homes, about 90K, 90 to 100K.
Wow, okay, sweet.
90 to
and
100K.
what are you guys going to be able to sell the homes for?
We're going to sell them between 160 and 180.
We're going to turn the page and start wrapping the show up. We've got a portion of the show that we like to call our Moonlight Coaching Round. And typically what we do is ask our guests a few questions. If you could hold your response to between 1 to 2 minutes per question, that'd be great.
Okay.
The first question that I have for you is, what do you think every new real estate investor should know before investing in real estate?
New investors should know is that you don't need to know everything. You really need to know what your next best move is. So don't stall because you think that clarity means you have the whole map. It does not mean that. You just need to recognize the next door, the next opportunity, and then start educating yourself. Read one book, underwrite one deal, join one room, go to these networking events. You learn to ask better questions the more you immerse yourself into this field. And so just concentrate on your mastery, and then your confidence is going to come from execution. So just don't get into what we call analysis paralysis. Just put yourself in the right rooms, ask the right questions, and then just jump.
The next question I have for you is, knowing what you know now, what kind of advice would you give a person attempting to get where you are within your real estate journey about balancing business and life?
Yeah, I think that sometimes it can be a challenge to achieve a perfect balance, and you may not ever necessarily get to a perfect balance, but if you're an ambitious person, then you got to be ambitious. And some people are okay with just doing their 9 to 5, and then there are others of us who want to venture out and do more. And so I would just say everything starts with your mindset, and then believing that you can do this and believing in yourself. Real estate is a wide open avenue. There's a lot of players in this space. There's a lot of support. When you start looking to get into this industry and learn, like you said, about real estate, the opportunities will come. And a lot of people, like I was saying, for me, I got my start just learning things from YouTube. You can listen to YouTube while you're in your car commuting to work. You can listen to YouTube, like you were saying, at the gym. And so there's really no reason not to jump in, like you said, with the education piece. Just learn as much as you can, and then find those circles. Go out. I understand there could be this anxiety or even imposter syndrome sometimes, where we feel like we don't belong in a room. And sometimes we just have to push past that and just do it. And like I was saying, confidence is going to come from doing.
The next question is, if a person had no money or experience, but they wanted to start and scale a business like yours, what would you recommend for them to do?
I recommend for everybody is to look at your budget. One thing that is probably a chronic problem here in America is overspending. Your income should dictate your lifestyle. Your income should dictate where you live, what you drive. And so I think that we have to learn to live to the size of what we can afford. And because if we can do that, we could be able to save money. But outside of that, like just looking at your budget and creating a level of discipline. Like you don't have to have all of the newest, the finest. Like my daughter talks about me so badly because I have an iPhone 14. Do I care? I do not.
Yeah.
So I don't care about all of the bells and whistles and having the newest, finest, most recent thing, because we want to take our money and use it to build assets. And these assets can then buy the things that we want. But we have to be disciplined about it and just focus on buying assets and not liabilities. That's very key, I think.
The final question I have for you, Julie, is what is the greatest coaching advice you could give to a new person about knowing their numbers? And so when I say knowing their numbers, I'm referring to knowing their KPIs or knowing how much income they have coming in, how much expenses they have going out, just knowing your numbers in general. What would you say, or what type of advice could you give to a person in regards to knowing their numbers?
The key thing is to start where you are. Start where you are and save judgment. Don't judge yourself. You know, everybody has to start somewhere. The key is don't stay at that point. And so looking at your numbers is so important. And even recently, in recent years, really, I've been advocating for people to look at your net worth. Look at it, measure it. And because what gets measured gets improved. And it's amazing how once you start paying attention to these things, it's almost like something might click in your mind where you just want to see it get better. And so just look at it, like take your paycheck, write down everything. And this is what I look at because I've worked with individuals, families. One big thing that I used to do is help people get their student loans forgiven, because it's just amazing how the lack of education about how to get these things done. But these programs exist for a reason. And so just look at what do you have coming in, write it down. Write down everything that you spend for 30 days, everything, whether it's going to the store for a piece of candy or whatever. Write it all down. And that way you get to start to see your habits on paper. And then you can start to distinguish between what are my fixed costs? What do I have to pay? I got to pay my rent. I have to pay for my car. I got to pay my insurance. And what are the discretionary things that you're spending? Then once you start to get that picture, it can become more and more clear to you. You can find places that maybe you can cut. Then maybe you can even start thinking about how do I increase my income? But it all just begins with looking at where you are now and looking at it from a lens of not judgment, but just this is where I am and this is not where I'll be in the future. And that starts for me right now.